G'day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at how to complete the Extreme Team Challenge mission for the Ultimate Red Zone versus Syn Shenron. So basically there have been a couple missions added into the Ultimate Red Zone. One of those missions is to take on the event with an extreme unit of each type. So that means extreme physical, extreme strength, extreme AGL, extreme tech, and extreme int. So obviously, generally speaking, that's quite challenging, especially the extreme tech side of things, because you are facing a int unit for the majority of the fight. So generally speaking, it is pretty tough. Obviously, Red Zone is already quite a tough stage, and the Mega Shenron is probably one of the top 3 or 4 in terms of difficulty. So Mega Shenron is a pretty tough challenge for the most part, but is also really quite a challenge just in general. So now when you add this layer on top of having to use one unit of each type, you generally run into a bit of a problem. Now, of course, the easiest way to take on this challenge is actually to utilize units that are essentially, how can I say, to lead two different categories. You want quite a wide array of choices. So generally speaking, one of the newer leads, the 200% leads, is going to be a better bet, or a Dokkan Festival lead that leads two strong categories. If you look at the unit I'm using, which is obviously Cooler leads Terrifying Conquerors or Movie Bosses, both categories having quite distinctively strong units, and so it makes sense to use him as a lead. Whereas, for example, just as an example in terms of lead, I know he is a super class, but well, actually we can use Full Power Freezer, for example. You could use the Strength Full Power Freezer who leads Full Power, but he only leads one category. So if you look at Full Power's extreme roster compared to the roster available under the double category lead of Cooler, you're going to see that you have much more limited options. So generally speaking, you really want to try and run one of the dual leads. There's tons of great ones. There's AGL Cell, he's a fantastic lead. There's obviously Strength Cooler, who's also obviously a pretty fun and pretty nice to use lead. Then there are some relatively strong kind of backup substitutes, like Captain Ginyu, etc. So there are tons of options. It's just going to depend entirely on how you manage and build around whatever lead you have in your box. So obviously we are using Cooler's team, so we're using Terrifying Conquerors or Movie Bosses, and obviously Cooler is central to that kind of design. Cooler's damage is really where we're going to win this event, because you need to quite quickly let him build up in the beginning phase, and then you really want to try and basically blitz down Omega Shenron in the final phase. So you really need to build up, get a little bit lucky. You need your team to build up quite quickly to kind of get going, and then once the Coolers are built up, you save the active skills and you essentially use one Whis item and burst down Omega Shenron. The thing with Omega Shenron is he has planned super attacks. So Omega Shenron, by design, fires off his super attack once every 20 attacks. So you do kind of know when it's coming. It always comes at the end of the second turn. So with that information in mind, if you play your cards right or get a bit lucky with your turn RNG, you should be able to have a unit that can tank his super attack at least once, and that should hopefully give you the setup that you need. Obviously, it is still incredibly tough. You may still suffer some setbacks. There are a lot of times where I would be supered, basically when I really didn't want to, or I would be near the end and I just wouldn't get that crit that I needed to take out Syn Shenron or Omega Shenron. And so it is obviously something that is quite how can I say, yeah, is quite RNG based. It always is. It always is when you are taking on super hard content. Sometimes you're going to get super lucky and the opposition is never going to super attack. Other times you are going to basically get no luck at all and get super attacked like 16 times in a row. Well, not quite, but basically you're just going to get super attacked on the absolute worst unit every single turn, and you're going to lose. It's just how it is. It's one of those things, unfortunately, when you take on these events. It's just how they are. So obviously in terms of team build, maybe just to discuss it a little bit so you can understand my reasoning, like around kind of why I chose certain units, etc. So obviously we've got a double Kula lead. I think that's pretty obvious, obviously, for the 200% leader skill. Also, just Kula is a very strong offensive unit. The build doesn't really work without him. You can do it with both Kulas at 55%. You could maybe swap in Ginyu for one of the Kulas, I think. But then you would have to find a substitute for Tech Janemba. So you'd probably have to go for Tech Frieza. And you'd have to find a substitute for Physical Janemba, which is probably, I would say, a little bit harder to do, because Physical Janemba is a very, very good unit. So yeah, beyond that, just obviously discussing the team build. So in light of that, obviously we have Kula, Strength Kula, huge damage dealer, big time damage, big unit. Obviously takes a little bit of time to build up, so you need to be a little bit careful about him in the beginning phases. If you're concerned he's taking too many attacks, rather just stick him in a slot where he's not going to get hurt. You don't need him the whole way through to do huge damage. You just need him fully built up by the end to really kind of carry that final phase of the run. Then we've got Physical Janemba. Physical Janemba is a great unit. He's obviously, I think a unit that a lot of people respect just because of the way his kit works. It's very simple. It's very reliable. You've got his guarding against all attacks in the first or second attacker slot, which is great. He's then also got Ki +2, up to +6 in attack and defense of +22% with each attack performed as a second or third attacker in a turn. And then he's got a high chance of nullifying Ki Blast super attacks directed at the character. So that's very, very solid. Obviously, the ability to nullify Ki Blast supers is quite helpful. But also just the fact that he can actually build up his defense. So I think that's obviously really, really, really good. In terms of his other mechanisms, obviously he can still take a bit of damage if you don't get his defense built up, but generally speaking he's very, very reliable as a unit. He also shares decent links with Kula, Big Bad Bosses, Metamorphosis, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. Oh, not Shocking Speed, but he does share some decent setup, and since Kula doesn't need the key, he's a really good unit to kind of run that alongside him, basically. Then we obviously have a couple Terrifying Conquerors units, and we also have the Tech Janemba. So Tech Janemba is just a great option for the tech side of things. The main reason being is obviously his guard ability. So the fact that he guards all attacks is obviously super reliable. You will need to get his 2 Rainbow Key Spheres if you want him to really be safe. That 30% damage reduction is very, very important. But technically speaking, he's still a little bit of a high risk play, because obviously if you don't get 2 Rainbow Orbs, he will still take a lot of damage even with his guard. But I find that he's super reliable. As long as you remember what turns he's coming up on, as long as you set him up as best as you can, just to get those 2 Rainbow Orbs. You don't have to set him up for the support. The support's an added bonus, but just getting the damage reduction, perfectly acceptable. So yeah, we've got those guys all working pretty nicely all together. Obviously Tech Janemba is more a floater. Then we've got AGL Golden Frieza. not too much to be said about this guy. Just a 90% kind of damage reduction, which is realistically pretty much all you need from him. Ultimately, at the end of the day, his 90% damage reduction is the reason you put him in. He can tank super effectively, and yeah, just above all else, he's just there to soak up damage. He's there as an emergency option. Should we not kill Omega Shenron in time, then we can kind of hope that he takes the super attack, and we can still maybe get another turn in, or maybe get enough damage to finish off Omega Shenron. So that's what he is there for, but obviously it is entirely dependent on how lucky you get with your turn rotations. He could come off looking very useful, and he could also come off looking incredibly bad. As soon as you fall below the 40% health threshold, he is basically going to tank your run. So just do your best to keep your health up before the turns he rocks up in. If you feel like it's a dodgy situation, rather use an item to keep the run going. You never know what will happen, rather than kind of just leaving it to RNG. Then we have the AGL Freezer Full Power. Obviously just a very, very good unit. You do need to try and get his 18D. I didn't get it as much as I could, and that led to him taking a little bit more damage than I'd like. But if you can get his 18 key, if you can get a little bit more reliability in regards to his 18 key and raising that defense, then you're going to be sitting in a very, very solid situation. So yeah, obviously now we're at the Omega Shenron stage. So at this point now we want to make sure that we obviously use Kula's active skill. It's important because it is going to interrupt the enemy, but it's also more importantly going to massively raise his attack. And when you raise his attack, he's now going to be doing some very heavy damage. This is a great turn for us as well, because we have Jason Berta, the only other unit I haven't been through yet. Jason Berta are just a very strong option. In events where evasion works, their 50% evasion rate, generally speaking, comes out luckier than not. Obviously there are times when it can fail terribly, but generally speaking it's a very, very helpful and reliable mechanic. Plus they give space traveling warriors key +3 and attack and defense 30%, and all of a sudden they can make this Kula, which is a 69% Kula, right alongside the Janemba, really hit super hard. We've gotten rid of 3 bars of health. We are now getting rid of a 4th one, and we are still under the effects of the Whis. So generally speaking, they're obviously super duper reliable in that sense, and I like them in these team builds. Obviously they're not getting their major links, they're not getting their big benefit of being under the all-encompassing Ginyu Force team, but generally speaking, they still help tremendously just by feeding the team way more and just allowing the team to kind of build way more. So yeah, obviously, that's kind of the build. You do need a little bit of luck in terms of RNG, because you need some crits from Kula, especially if you're not running like 100% Kula or something like that. Generally speaking, you need Kula to get a little bit lucky, get those additionals, get those crits. He still does great damage, even if he doesn't crit, but if you do have a 55% Kula, try and slap on whatever crit gear you can, because that's, generally speaking, going to help you out a lot. If you don't, then you could run into a little bit of an issue, I think, and for the most part you'll probably have a little bit of a headache and just miss out. Like you'll see here, I believe, I get very close to missing out here, but then we get a lot of luck in terms of the Freezer, and he manages to finish things off, because Freezer still does very good damage. So even though he was kind of struggling a little bit, obviously, in terms of his overall damage himself, or defense I should say, he still managed to finish off the fight, because he does raise attack on his 12 key, so he also hits pretty hard by the end. So yeah, pretty solid stuff, generally speaking. And yeah, that's kind of the team build. Obviously, I think everything runs pretty smooth. If you can copy this team build, you might have a little bit of trouble from time to time, but I think for the most part, you will, be fine. And yeah, basically, super duper happy. Everything ran smooth, and overall, I think it was a good run. That's gonna be it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.